Hello. Happy Wednesday. I need to start like a little dance movement or something during this awkward time of wondering if I'm live or not. I'm live. Okay. I hope you guys are doing well. Drop in the comments below. Let me know how you're doing or maybe what you're struggling with. Today, I'm going to be talking about a topic that I hear all the time in the clinic. A lot of people show up in my office because or online they get the programs because they want to get more flexible or they want to get stronger. And the reasons why, there's so many reasons. Maybe they do a sport like golf or tennis, or I have a lot of yogis, so they want to increase their performance, right? Totally cool. Having goals in terms of fitness or sport performance to work towards, I think that's so important as we all age. For me personally, it keeps me feeling young and feeling like I'm slowing the reversing aging process, especially when I see myself improve through the decades instead of going backwards. So, totally valid reason why you might want to get flexible or stronger so you can perform better in your sport. Uh, Maybe you just want to be a better parent. I get told this a lot, like I can't sit on the ground with my kid because I literally just, my back doesn't allow me to do it. I can't stretch my legs out. I have to sit against a wall or sit in a chair and bend forward, and it's awkward trying to play with my kids. Gardening's one. Sometimes people associate having more flexibility and strength with having more energy. Sometimes that's the case. So that kind of all goes together with just improving quality of life day to day, even the ability to be more productive and profitable at work, right? If you can sit longer with less like tension and the knots and all that stuff, because you are more mobile, or you have the strength to hold a better posture for longer, totally can affect your work performance. Or some people just equate more flexibility with strength with less pain. So they want to get stronger or more flexible because they think it'll help their back pain issue or a neck issue, whatever it may be. So if you can relate to any of these, just drop in the comments. If you're watching this on the replay, let me know, because that helps plan for future sessions if I can kind of see you guys where you guys are at. This week on the podcast, if anyone has a link available, you can also drop that in the comment. I'll throw it in later when I wrap this up. I talked about a topic called confirmation bias. Now, here is how confirmation bias relates to getting stronger or more flexible without the risk of injury. So sometimes people, or they tell me, or I hear, they know what to do, right? The information, it's on Google, it's on YouTube. You can search, how do I stretch my hamstrings? How do I get more flexibility in my shoulder? Whatever it may be. How can I strengthen my rotator cuff? You can Google it. There it is. Voila. So why are all these people struggling with injuries? What I see a lot of the times on the yoga mat is people will show up for good intentions. All those reasons why I listed, or maybe they just want to reduce your stress, maybe they want to sweat out tension, reduce anxiety, get their heart rate up, get a little fitness exercise on. Totally cool. So people show up to the classes, to the outdoor fitness facilities, the gyms, whatever, for good reasons. The problem is, because of their perception of what's going on in their body based upon beliefs of possibly how they feel their body should be performing, how they feel their body should be looking or acting or behaving, right? Then you perceive life this way and it shows up on the mat. That might be sounding a little esoteric, so stay with me. I'm going to show you via an example. Okay? So let's take a person that feels that their hamstrings are really tight and is the contributor to maybe a sciatic issue or a low back or a disc issue. And that's the reason why they can't sit at the desk for a long time to do their work, because then they start having this nagging low back soreness, or they just feel really uncomfortable, right? So then they're like, oh, okay, well, I need to stretch my hamstrings. They need to be more flexible. or maybe someone told them, or they heard it or read it somewhere. So then they show up to the yoga mat, right? And I see them in class, and they'll be lying down on their mat, and they know that this figure four, when I lead a healthy back class, so quite frequently I do this figure four stretch. Drop in the comments if you can't see me. Let's make sure. There we go. Yeah, you should be able to see me. So they're doing this figure four stretch, right? And based upon their perception, their confirmation bias, that they believe that their body is super, super, super tight, and that is the solution to their low back pain, they're going to start the stretch, and in their mind, they're going to go, yep, I'm so tight, so tight. So I need to fix this problem. And then they end up curling and rounding in, right? So then they take this very simple stretch where it should be done. It's these stretches, a lot of them, a lot of the strengtheners as well. It's quality over quantity. And when things are forced and you're not really listening to the body's restrictions or limitations, so for this one in particular, when someone is doing that rounding type motion where their tailbone lifts off the ground, where their head is curling in, if there is a disc or a sciatic issue, it's just going to exacerbate it, just going to make it worse. So a very good stretch, someone showed up for a very good reason, it's not right for them the way they're doing it. It's the how they're doing it that's setting themselves up at, even if they don't have a disc or a nerve injury, that forcing, that pulling, that curling can put them at risk for a disc or nerve injury. So another common scenario I see is with the chaturanga. A lot of yogis show up to classes and they learned or heard from blogs or YouTube or wherever, maybe their neighbor, that rotator cuff strength or shoulder strength is important for neck health, for shoulder health. True, that's true. But then what I see what happens is they come to class and they might not have the flexibility or the strength to do as many chaturangas. A typical yoga class might have like 20 chaturangas in it or even more, right? They only have the strength to hold the alignment efficiently for maybe 5 chaturangas. Yet they're throwing in extra chaturangas in every flow to try to get that strength, that then they end up with a shoulder impingement, right? So they show up on the mat for a good reason, but because of overdoing and forcing, they end up putting themselves at risk for injury. So what do you do instead? This is where slowing down and do less is more. So really listening to what's happening, how your body is responding to a particular stretch, to a particular strengthening movement is super important because it's data. What happens a lot of the time is we take that data of our body saying, oh, that's too much, or oh, I feel a little soreness here. We take that data and we create a story around it. And it has a lot of drama, right? I am so inflexible. I'm never going to get my strength, or my body is very flabby and soft. Whatever drama story we create of it, so then we push ourselves even more. But if we, and that's all based upon our learned beliefs and biases about ourselves that are going unconscious in the background. So I talk more about exactly what the confirmation bias is in the podcast and what you can do about it. It's a great way to really take a step back and observe why you're doing things, how you're doing things, and if it's really getting you the result that you really want. Because this is the way to uncover the patterns that are working for you that maybe you want to strengthen, or maybe the ones that maybe that's not working for you. So let me give an example from my own personal experience. A lot of you know that in May I was in the hospital, and I've been healing from this. My strength still isn't not where it was before. And about a month ago or so, I kept trying to strength train to get myself back to where it was before. I kept saying, everything I know, everything I've learned in PT school and through all my trainings says keep challenging the system, right? Keep adding more of a load, and eventually your body will adapt and get stronger. And I realized that every time I tried to do even a very, very light, very, very gentle strengthening routine, that it started a negative cascade of symptoms where some of the symptoms that put me in the hospital would return, like this very severe weakness in my quads and my legs, or difficulty breathing. So I would just notice these very severe and concerning symptoms pop up every time I would try to strength train. And it would take me like a week or more to recover. It just wasn't normal. I was doing twice that amount of work in my strength training routine before and having no issues. But yet, based upon like all my biases of what I thought I should be doing and what I've learned and how I perceive the world, I kept trying to strength train. And then I would set up and end up like struggling the rest of the week to try to just get through the weekend so I could just rest and be on the couch. And after, talking with, going to my practitioners and getting some work done and getting some supplements, I realized I need to let go of the strength training until my body's able, until it's a lot stronger. Strength training is actually counterproductive and sabotaging my healing right now. I just, for whatever reason, whatever's going on, I can't handle, my body cannot handle it. And it totally goes against the grain of everything that I've learned. It's totally counterintuitive, right? So for now, for this period of time, I'm actually not strength training. And instead, I'm just focusing on getting nutrients in my body. I'm taking some supplements specifically, and I'm doing a lot of restorative practices, and my body can handle walks. It cannot tolerate a normal yoga class, especially one where there's a lot of time standing on the feet. So I'm accepting it. So that's one thing of how to start with this is just accepting your body where it is, right? Even if it is tight, even if you do need to get strength, you need to become at peace and be grateful for your body for all that it's doing right now. In the yoga world, there's a term for this. It's called santosha. And it means finding contentment in the day to day, moment to moment, even when it's not perfect. So then, with that peace, with that groundedness, with that acceptance and gratefulness, you can let go of the forcing, right? You're going to let go of the grasping, and you can learn to listen with a new set of eyes and ears of what's actually happening in the moment, whether it be the patterns of movement, whether it be the patterns of thinking, right? So then you can observe them and make changes as needed. But if you're not slowing down enough to listen and you're pushing through that place of santosha where you're always striving and reaching for more, it's totally, I'm not saying don't have goals, right? It's a balance, right? Of having the goals, but being content also and grateful for your body, knowing that your self-worth is not defined by the fancy yoga poses on the mat. Your self-worth is not defined by the productivity you do in your business or how much you get done during the day or how you perform on the golf course, right? Your self-worth is just you. By just showing up and being you, you're worthy, and that's enough. Okay, so if you feel like you're really struggling with this, you're like, oh, this is kind of resonating. I'm showing up on the mat and I'm sabotaging, I think, my hard work. Or I feel stuck. I'm not really sure what I'm doing. Can you look at my alignment? The best thing to do is sign up for a free consultation call. I'll drop the link in the comments. You can jump on. It's better to do this than continually wasting time, right? Where you're showing up on the mat, or even worse, every time you show up on the mat or go to the gym, then you're putting yourself at risk for injury. And then one day it's just going to be the straw that broke the camel's back. And then you end up with this nagging soreness that just won't go away, right? So, to prevent all that or to heal and finally move forward, just schedule a consultation call. There's no commitment or obligation to do anything beyond that. What we're going to do in the call is unravel these patterns, get to the root source of what the real problem is, and then make a plan. And then from there, you decide what's next. Okay? In the comments, I'm also going to drop the link to this week's podcast where I go over the confirmation bias so you can learn a bit more about that. And again, if you have any thoughts on this, comments, I would love to hear it. You can also drop your suggestions for future podcast episodes or Facebook Lives. And for now, that is all. So I will see you next week. Bye.